This is part of a series of short videos showing you how to spot some common problems within your NLP model and how to fix them. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate the negative effect of having a lack of training data for an intent within your model, how simple it is to fix, and quickly get a better performing bot. So this is a simple model. It's built on Microsoft Lewis, but it could be a model on any other provider. And this one is based on some customer service questions. It has just 17 intents, and we can see there are intents for contact us, appointments, store hours, and so on. I've run a test in QBox, so let's jump over to see these test results. Overall model scores are 49, 46, 55, and QBox has classed them as either bad or okay, so there's lots of room for improvement. On the score distribution graph, we can see there are 2 intents that are scoring below 5 for correctness, and there's a few other intents scoring less than 50 as well in red. Let's look at those lowest scoring intents by going to the Intents tab. So other than our none intent, our lowest scoring intent is the complaints intent, and it's scoring 0 on all 3 metrics. If we click into this and go straight to advanced view, we can see the correctness distribution graph. This intent has just 3 utterances, and all of them are going to incorrect intents as they're showing as red points on the graph. General recommendations from most NLP providers is to have at least 5 utterances per intent, although our experience has proved that aiming for around 10 to 15 utterances per intent works better. Just quickly go into the confidence distribution diagram. It shows a similar picture, but this one just concentrates on confidence, and these hollow circles just show the incorrect utterances. And then on the clarity diagram, this shows that all 3 questions also have poor clarity. No surprise there. Let's go back to the correctness diagram and let's pin all of these 3 utterances. So this forms our focus area, and we can see that up here. And the idea of pinning utterances is so that they will actually remain pinned in subsequent tests, and then you can easily see, without having to search for these questions, whether you've made improvements to them. We know that this intent is all about complaints, and within this we have 3 very slightly different concepts: how to complain, making a complaint, and contacting the complaints team. We found that for each different concept within an intent, having around 3 utterances per concept works really well to help strengthen the intent overall. If we look at each of the questions in more detail, we'll probably see that they're just picking up on small, insignificant words. So let's go to the first one. How do I complain about the service I received? We can see the first intent is trying to go to is the ways to pay, and this is 5% confident, and the second one is customer care store hours, which is only 3% confident. We can see from the highlighted words, it is just picking up on the insignificant words of how and do, the, and there is one instance of service here, but it's in a different concept. If we go to the second intent, again, it's the same picture, just small insignificant words. And if we look at the complaints intent, we can see there's no other question that strengthens a concept of asking how to complain about the service. If we go to the explain tab, which I've already pre-populated, we can see that the first intent, ways to pay, there are some small influences in the prediction of these words, but they're only very minor because the bars are not very big. And if we look at the complaints intent, there's no words that are having an influence on the prediction for this intent. So it just confirms, if we go back to the training data, it just goes to confirm that we need to strengthen the idea of the concept of asking to complain, how to complain. Let's just have a quick look at the second question. I want to make a complaint. It's 16% confident at trying to go to the general connected agent. If we have a quick scroll down, we can see it is just, again, the insignificant words want, to, and a. And the second one, 10% confident at going to the customer care appointments. it's again just picking up on the insignificant words. And if we look at the complaints, we need to strengthen the idea of asking how to make a complaint. And put me through to the complaints team. Just very, very quickly scrolling through, it's exactly the same picture here. We need to strengthen about asking how to go through to the complaints team. So I'll go back to my Lewis model, pick up the complaints intent and add a few more utterances. So for the first question, how do I complain about the service I received? We can add, I received poor service. How can I complain? And one more, I would like to complain about your bad service. And then for the second question, I want to make a complaint. We can add how to make a complaint, and then perhaps please log a complaint. And for the third question, put me through to the complaints team. We can strengthen this by adding need to chat to the complaints team and do you have a complaints team? Now you can see from these questions that I've made these phrases as varied as possible, being careful not to repeat the way the questions are asked, because overuse of repeated phrases like how do I or I want could cause problems in itself. I have made a separate help video in this series about this particular problem, which you might want to check out. So once I've added these questions to my Lewis model, I ran another test in QBox and these are my results. So overall, we can see that the three metrics have increased well to 56, 51, 61. And if we move down, we can see the largest direct changes are now here. And of course, it's the intent that we've tried to fix, our complaints intent, and we can see a huge improvement to all three metrics. If we look to the right, we can see that we've made some improvements to intents we haven't even touched. And this means that just by strengthening the concepts of some utterances within one intent, it's likely strengthened some weaker concepts that may have happened in other intents. And this is called the ripple effect. Going to our complaints intent, we can now see our pinned questions all have green ticks next to them, so their correctness has been fixed, and confidence and clarity are very good. We can see on the correctness distribution graph, all questions, even the new ones we've added, are all correct and most are falling nicely within our central circle, meaning the utterances will return the correct intent and with good confidence. We have a couple of utterances that are falling just outside our confidence threshold, as seen in the confidence diagram here. And you could look at fixing this as your next step in the improvement process. Or you may just choose to go to the next lowest scoring intent in the list and look at fixing that one instead. So moving over to our clarity diagram, we can see that all our questions have good clarity as they're all falling in this green area here. Last thing we need to do is check to see if there's been any regression in any other intents as a result of this fix. So we'll go back to the overview page and to our change analysis tab. So the first graph, which is our correctness graph, this shows no regressions in correctness to any intents. If there were, there would be red data points showing here. So as well as our intent that we fixed, which is this one here, we have improved the correctness to 4 other intents. And if we go towards the bottom of the page, this shows the list of all the intents who have had score changes. And we can see some good increases in the ones that have had changes. Moving over to the confidence graph, this shows that we have a very minor regression in 3 intents. So the white dots represent the scores in the previous test, so we can see there are any small changes here. And if we go down to the list, we can see that they are only 1% decreases here. So there's nothing to be concerned at. And on the clarity graph, this shows our intent that we fixed, showing great increase in clarity, and no other intent has been affected. I would suggest if you do have any regressions of 10% or more in any scores, take a look at these ones first and try to fix those regressions before moving on to any other fixes. So to summarise, all intents within your model should have a very minimum of 5 utterances, although I would recommend 10 to 15, and ensure that you have around 3 utterances for each concept represented within your intent.